Okay, let's start today's call. Today is the last day of the current sprint, so I would like to do just take a look at the current tickets and then to see if there's any other questions, and then after that we can do like a retrospective review. So let's just share the ticket. Let's just do it here. So right now, we still have two tickets in the testing column. This is mainly for the biometric fingerprint one, and I don't see anyone from CDSS team is on, so maybe we can go through that when they join later. Right now we have three tickets under the code review. I think we just moved the barcode scanner one and as well as the timeout one earlier today. So we will need your help to review those two. We have quite a few tickets under the pre-testing columns, mainly regarding two forms, and then there's one ticket that is the revised column for the error resolution. And that one actually, I tested it again. It works as expected. Even though we run into a different issues and is referred to a different ticket, so I'm not going to let that other issues to block this ticket to move forward. So I want other members to do more testing before we move to the code review session. Seems like I don't think they really test it completely. Lawrence, do you still have the issues that with what you report earlier?
Does that the one that concerns the date, or the one that's related to 270?
Yeah, you have like 4 days ago you attached some screenshots and then saying that no provider ID and no provider name. Have you tested again that to make sure those providers you pick they actually have the provider ID assigned?
I haven't tested again, but I made sure that the provider ID I was using was 17-4, which is under the name Eda test, and I looked that up under the provider link. It appears like it's a person who's been added as a provider. So I just do not understand why that wasn't showing up. But I can do another test today and update.
Is it in have test server?
Yes. No, that's cloud. That's cloud. Sorry. That's
cloud. Is in the cloud. It should have. So there's another column. Is provider ID. If that one is blank, it might explain the reason why it's blank.
Okay.
Yeah. And then.
So maybe we could try shift the same OMOD to test server and run another test.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other observation about no observation, I think I also can reproduce that one, but this is the issue that Simon already fixed the other day. So I wonder if should I go to haven't yes. Go ahead. So for the last so I think there's some okay. So for the last comment about how the filtering happens, that one hasn't been implemented yet, so that's why it's not available.
Okay. I just needed to understand if I'm searching by, say, for instance, location ID. How does the search box I type in know what field it's looking into? I don't know if you need to highlight the column, or that was basically the question.
Okay, so there's a different ticket. So let me show you here. There's a different ticket like 307, as sorting or filtered features, and then you can comment on that one. This one. So Lawrence, just put your comments on this one. So I think that'll be easier when the developers start working on it.
Okay, I'll do that on 307. Thanks.
Cool. So Simon, do you want to talk about that? You also can reproduce the issue encounter with the ops.
Yeah. Just tested before this call. I submitted an encounter, and after processing, actually, it doesn't have ops. So that is how the OMOD that Sutra generated. I think it's an issue that probably she'll want to look at. Maybe she doesn't have the latest code. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my guess as well. Someone probably you and Shuda should ping each other after the call just to make sure Shuda has the latest in her, and then that might fix.
Yeah.
Simon, I actually just quickly double checked. I have the latest code on the registration module repo. That's the one that has your fix, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just checked and it seems to be up to date. So I'm not sure uh, if it's an issue with me not having the latest code. I don't think that's the issue because I have the latest code. So I'm not sure, like maybe we should check if the merge, I somehow lost the changes. I'll send you a log of the changes that I have. So maybe that'll help.
Yeah, sure. I think I can look at it after.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, cool. And then the other ones, CDM form stuff. Let me just mute. Okay. So the other one's more like for the CDM testing feedback. So Lawrence, do you have like a timeline estimate for those CDM form testing feedback?
And I spoke to the providers. We're actually supposed to meet at 3 today, but I realized there's feedback I'd given on the dispensary form and the health center form as well. So Simon has been working on that, and we spoke today, and his feeling was he can finish up with the changes, and then I can plan to meet them probably tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we do a comprehensive test and give feedback on that instead of doing it halfway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we want to wrap up those two health center form and screening forms soon. Yeah.
Okay.
So I know that there's a lot of testing with the registration form today. Robai, can you give us an update on that?
There's a link that Savai indicated in mUzima, is it mUzima 290, that we have used to test the registration form. Tested has been able to save as draft and complete successfully. But when I was uploading the form, I was getting an error, an exemption has been thrown while uploading data. So we are able to save as complete and draft, but we are not able to upload the registration form.
Okay. Which ticket is that?
Sorry?
Which ticket number?
mUzima 290.
290? 290. Okay. Yeah, I think you have different tickets have similar behavior, saying that the form show up on incomplete or complete, and then you remove it, and then it come back or things like that. I was not able to reproduce this error.
So today we worked with Ruth. She was able to produce the same error. Maybe she can explain.
Yes, please.
Okay, I was also able to fill the form, but I commented on mUzima 311 as I filled the other identifier, and I was able to save as draft and as complete. And when I was uploading, there was that an exception has been thrown while uploading data. And then the complete form, when you save a form as complete, a registration form as complete, after some time you will find it in the incomplete section.
Yeah, I cannot see on your comment. I can tell you have the same problem.
Okay, Rabai told me to try it, and I did not put on the comments, but I was able to. Yeah.
Okay. I will test out with the same APK as well, since I did not get a chance to test it as it's posted a few hours ago. So I would do testing as well, and then to see if I can reproduce. Okay. And I think so. Simon, do you think for this kind of situation it helps to get the log file?
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see the error. Though, just before the call, I attempted to look into it. I've not yet seen the error that's generated. And I know what they're encountering this using the APK that I gave out. I think it would also be interesting to test with the latest APK just to be sure that the issue is not with this specific APK for this ticket. Yeah, because I ran out of time, but I attempted to fill a form using the latest APK. I could not submit it to the server because of that exception thrown while uploading data. So even myself, it's something I want to continue looking, testing after the call, and then I can, yeah, I can tell whether it's with a specific APK I gave out or it's some other issues. Yeah.
So we'll look into a little bit further before we update the ticket.
Yeah.
Those are the tickets I would like to talk about. Is there any other tickets anyone want to talk about for current sprint? If not, we're going to look. Can we do the retrospective review to say things that we did right and things that we could have done better for improvement? Anyone? So one observation I have is that maybe I should go first. I appreciate CDSS team members that now separate other issues from the ticket, what the ticket is about. This is really helpful, not mixing different issues into one ticket and separating them. I think that's one improvement I can see after we discussed last call. I see that's a big improvement from that. Any other things that you guys want to share? Sounds like a no. So if that's the case, we'll move to the next item that to look at the next set of tickets. Those are more related to a registration form and some of the major blocker that they're small but then they are critical. So the first one is mUzima 325, removing leading and trailing spaces in the registration form. So I just grabbed those core components. I did not include add additional field when that Simon add on. I think maybe we should include all those fields as well, so that we don't have all these extra spaces, either like leading or trailing spaces for the value that we capture. And the reason that why we bring up this ticket is that we realize there's a lot of registration form end up in the error queue because there's extra spaces, there's extra trailing spaces at the end of the AMR's universal ID value. And then even though the ID is correct, but the provider have extra spaces after that, and that's why cannot find the identifier, or it's considered that was not valid when it got processed in the server. So there's a lot of small issues, but then it creates a lot of extra work. So when we try to reproduce the error, we were able to do it, and then I think we need to remove all these extra leading and trailing spaces in the registration form, not just to MRS universal ID, but also other fields. That's pretty much what this ticket about. So any questions or comments on this ticket before we assign story point?
Yeah. What's the best approach for it programmatically? Is it a combination of telling them that they have spaces and also checking after it's submitted? What do the developers say?
I think for this one, we should silently remove the leading and trailing spaces.
So you said just silently remove them?
Yeah.
Okay. Shweta and Savai?
Yeah, I think we'll remove the leading and trailing spaces. And I have a question. Could you say we apply this to all content that is filled within forms? Do you have a situation where even in encounter forms, it would be necessary to have any space before or after what users fill in? If not, then I would suggest we apply this to all forms, so that whenever we pass data from forms, we make sure that each and every piece of data does not have any leading or trailing spaces. Programmatically, that would be easy. It's not extra effort, because looking at the code that we use to pull data from forms, then it's just in one place that we do the change to remove the space.
Yeah. So I agree with you, and I think it's a great suggestion.
So also, yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. I also think it would be helpful to do like a performance test just to see how much extra time to do those checking and silently remove extra spaces, especially if that form has a lot of data. How much it affects the performance in terms of like checking, removing, and saving.
Can it be done before the payload is submitted?
Yeah, when we can we, I think that the thing is, should that be done on the device side, or should be done in the server side? That's what I really want to know. Because if it's done in the server side, probably it's easy, it's not really affecting the performance. But then if it's not, if it's done on the device side, especially it's helpful, especially when you have the ID linkage and all those things. So I really think it's the discussions that you guys need to think about.
Okay, to me, I thought it would be on device side. Already what we are doing when we extract data from forms, we iterate through each and every field. So the change here would be just to apply a function to trim any leading and trailing spaces. So there would not be extra checking like to check whether it's there or not. It's just to trim, and it would trim whenever space is there.
Actually, when we read my mind, so I also agree that it should only test, validate, and remove those extra spaces for free text field. Because the other things is like coded already, like predefined. There's no way they can have like extra spaces.
How about numeric? I guess it would be invalid if you put a space for numeric field.
Ida, I just have a quick question here. So I read your email about how the AMRS ID, I just put the value in the chat. So is this the ID that AMRS actually generates?
So on the ID card,
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Hello?
I think there's echo on your side. So I'm going to mute. So on empath, on the actual physical ID card, that's exactly how they generate it. They with all these leading zero to make sure there's like 9 digits dash another check digit. That's how it looks like. So when you scan it, the barcode scanner actually really capture 000, all these leading zero, and then with the actual universal ID number, and that's how it's really read. And that's the reason that I kept saying the whole time on the other ticket, saying that, oh, the barcode cannot be read or things like that, even though the record is already existing. And then later on, when I use a different barcode generator just to generate the ID without the leading zeros, and yeah, that's accessorized. And I was able to use the barcode to find the existing record.
So you're saying the AMRS ID has the 6 leading zeros, but on the server it's only stored as 986 hyphen 0. Correct. Okay. So I don't I'm not I don't know, but my thought is that if AMRS is generating this ID with the leading zeros, I think we shouldn't mess with that. I think we should use whatever value that AMRS is using, because if we are going to change it or format that number, we're not sure how it's going to be used in the future, so it could lead to problems that we can't really foresee right now. By actually modifying or changing the ID, we will probably generate something completely new. So I think we should change the server-side code to somehow, if we know that it's expecting whatever it's, I think it's an 8-digit number with a hyphen and a 0. So I think we should format it on the server side and then do a match rather than actually modifying the value itself.
So actually, on the ground, they actually use only 986-0. That's how they issue the number, and that's what everyone referenced to. I think the issue was, sorry, on the AMRS ID card, the actual physical card. So at that time, the team didn't want any confusion about, in case someone put like a 1 in front of that or another digit in front of that to mess up with the check digit algorithm. So they decided that, all the ID cards going to print it in the format with 9 digits and then dash like a check digit. That's how it appeared and printed on the physical ID card. However, the actual value when you read it, actually is like only, like in this example, only 986-0. That's how the system store in the database. It's just that in the physical ID card generation and printed, they print a different format. That's the confusion that it caused. I hope that so it's not like we're changing the AMS ID value. It's more like because the format they printed on the physical card, they decided to add the leading zero to make it like 9 digits before the dash to have like a uniform format. So I think on the side when they use the sparkle scanner, they remove those those leading zeros, and then that's how they interpret, and then that's why they found out they can look and search for the existing record by that number.
So I was just wondering, is there a standard which says that all AMRS IDs should be in this format? If there is such a standard, then I think we should stick to that for both server side as well as device side thing, identification, or even for storage. Because once we start actually formatting it, we'll have to do it every time something like this happens. So if there's a standard format, maybe we should just stick to that. Like if the standard says that AMRS ID should always have 9 digits with a hyphen and whatever, then we use that pattern for identifying, storing on the device as well as on the server for identifying and saving on the server as well. So that way we always get a match, and we're sticking to a standard. Because tomorrow, let's say that they change it to a whatever 16-digit number of some sort. There's only one place where we have to change it at. If we're going to go and make changes in the code for like removing or adding zeros, it's going to add a lot of these checks in the code, which will be difficult to find later once the IDs or the way of identifying people itself change.
Yeah, I agree with you, but unfortunately, I don't think we have a saying right now to say, all the existing ID in the system need to add all this leading zero to make it like a 9 digit before the dash. Yep, that's how it's got printed. And I have screenshots for that 1 second so that you guys don't think I'm crazy. That's how it looks.
Yeah, I think I don't know, maybe the barcode standard expects that these many digits should be there, or is this something that I think I have a screenshot with a tube of gum or something on one of the I think it's mUzima. Choose the barcode.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't know. I think 292. Yeah, so I don't know if we can see very well. It's not a very clear screenshot. Oh, because Win is saying something. No, this doesn't look like it's the same number of digits, right? So yeah, maybe this is something specific to AMRS. Okay.
Yeah, so I think the reason they print it this way is just to avoid people putting extra digits in front of the ID. I think that's why they want to have like a uniform format that is going to print as 9 digits dash check digits. So that's what they printed on it. However, when it read, it's supposed to read without the leading zeros. That's the actual value actually stored is just 986-0 in the system. But on the printed card, they add those leading zero to make it like a 9 digits before the dash. Yeah. I think the reason they added that because the leading zero, when you add all this leading zero, it doesn't affect the check digit algorithm. But I agree with Wayne that adding zeros in it for barcode scanning, they're two different things. That's why the whole time, when you guys say that, oh, you can find it, and I was the only one who didn't find it because I used this example for scanning. But I think it's a good thing that we use this examples so that we know, we're able to find other issues. So, when they're on the field, we can avoid that as well. So that's why I think maybe the workaround is more like to remove all these leading um, um, spaces and leading zeros so that we don't run into the same issues. As especially right now, we have even less saying of what need to be changed on the server side right now. So let's go back to 325. So what are we? Is it correct that we agree that it's going to the apps to silence and remove all the extra spaces once the rest, and then could apply to all forms? We can change the content on these tickets instead of just like saying that it applied to registration form. It can apply to all forms. I also agree with Simon's suggestion. So if that's the case, we're going to apply this to all forms. How many story points you guys want to assign for this ticket? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, 5, 3, 3. I think you guys need to reconcile that.
Yeah. The only reason I gave it a 5 is because if we are changing across all forms, testing all of that and making sure that I think we do it for one form and we see that it's fine because I think most likely we'll be doing the change in muzima.js. The change itself is small, but we have to, is there certain fields that we're narrowing down to and saying for these fields, please remove all the leading and trailing spaces? Like you've outlined, I think, in the Jira Ada, given name, middle name, family name, AMRS ID, any other identifiers. Is this removal of the leading and trailing spaces only for these fields?
No, I think right
No,
now
I think right now
we agreed that
agree that
apply to all the fields
all the
as well as the
as well
demand.
as the demand. All the fields.
All the fields, yeah,
All the
except
fields, yeah.
coded and comment boxes.
And comment boxes. Okay. Yeah, I would still say it's a 5 because we're going to, I don't know. What about Simon and Win?
Win and Simon?
I agree with you that there's probably a lot of testing that's going to be. The change itself is a very small one. It's just to change in one place. So if it was changing on the form, I could give it a point or half. Then I would say 2 points for testing. But I don't know what. That's my opinion.
So it's going to be a 5. Okay. Yeah, and lots of testing back and forth. That's the most time-consuming part. Okay, so the next one is 329. It's pretty much what we just talked about the leading zero on the value wrapped by the barcode scanner. Any more discussions or clarification before we talk about the story points as well? Okay, so let's assign story points on this one. 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah, I think for this one, I don't know. This could be a very MRS specific because other location probably won't implement the barcode like this. So I was wondering, should we do a checking if it's like MRS or?
Yeah. So do you think it might be even like a VH, like options and the settings for that?
Yeah, that's something that we could do, like barcode scanner trim leading zeros or something.
So that it will be flexible for different implementation for different setup.
Yeah, that's probably a better approach.
Yeah, I agree. So is it going to be much bigger task, is it? So
yeah, there will be a bit more work, I think.
Yeah. So I think this, yeah, I like the idea as an option in the setting. So how many story points? Five. Okay. Okay. The next one is 327. App crash when username is entered with leading or trailing spaces. And seminar also include the acronym for the stack trace for this one. So user cannot log in if there's a leading or trailing spaces.
Could I just come in to this conversation a little bit late?
Sure.
Do you want to get in the business of messing with leading zeros for barcodes in the first place? Because chances are that's the way they come, and if you change it, it actually changes the value, as Wayne was saying.
So for for other implementation, for most implementation, they start with the leading zero. That's how it's supposed to be. But I think for empath one, it's a bit odd. They decide to add all this leading zero to make the there's like enough 9 digits before the dash. So like for those, so for right now, if we scan any empath ID card with any number of like leading zero, it will read that you cannot find the existing record, even though the record existed in the system. So they're going to create a duplicate record. They're going to create a new registration, and then when that sent back to the server, and then they realize that actually that record is existent, so it's a create even more like work that is required for merchant and clean all those data. Yeah. So that's the reason.
Okay, and it makes sense with Wynn's comment. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Oops, sorry. So for 327, how many story points? 1, 2, 3. Go. Three, 2, 7.
Yeah, okay. I give it a 2 because I think what shall happen is that we'll trim any leading or trailing space on the user specified username while logging in. So I felt like that wouldn't be much work testing and also working on it. But I would go to 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one is 318. The HTML registration form handles the process update the form. Simon, do you want to give background on this ticket?
Yeah, this one comes after the changes we are doing on registration form. We have introduced new fields like the village, county, location. So for that to be updated, to be processed, we have to change the server-side handler to accommodate the new additional fields. So that's the reason we need this ticket to introduce ability to process the additional person attribute.
Okay. So it's clear. So how many story points for this one? 1, 2, 3, go. Yes, you trust Simon. That's right. 5. Okay. This last one is update the consultation queue data handler. So what happened is for mUzima 94, the tickets is about adding the available form discriminator when we create the mUzima form, and because the teleconsultation module hasn't been really updated for a while, and Win was the one actually helped me to figure out what the problem was and say that it needs to update on the method, since there's a lot of changes on the queue data handler already, but not in the consultation queue data handler. That's why we run into the issue that it cannot process the form. So that's pretty much for this ticket. So how many story points? 2, 3. Okay, I think that is it for the new tickets grooming. So any questions or comment before we wrap this up? Okay, so that is it for the tickets for the new sprint. And we still have a few minutes left, so it's open up for anyone who has questions or comments that they would like to discuss or share.
I have a question or a comment about the issue EDA we discussed last Friday. You had an issue that whenever you save a form, it throws an error. So I looked into it. Then I discovered that comes as a result of some inconsistency in which we check whether a form is registration or not.
Okay.
Find that when we are downloading the form, we check whether it has a tag registration. Um, but when we are saving a form, we check whether it has the JSON registration discriminator. So what happens is that if you tag any form that's not set with the JSON registration discriminator, it will be downloaded to the APK as a registration form. Whenever you want to register a new patient, it will open that form. And then whenever you are saving, if that form does not have a JSON registration discriminator, it would be treated as an encounter form. Now, so the issue that came up was that we had a registration form that had the wrong discriminator. The form was correctly tagged as registration, but the discriminator was incorrect. So when you're saving this form, since it does not have the proper discriminator, it will be saved as an encounter form. But when saving as an encounter form, you should have an already registered patient. So something went wrong somewhere, and that's why it was throwing an error, because a patient is not yet registered who is associated with an encounter. So because it's a new registration we are doing, and therefore it kind of throws an error. So it's something I will file a ticket. Yeah. Maybe to give a better picture of what I'm talking about. So I
Yes.
just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But you know, for this another thing that when I encountered that an error occurred while saving form, even for existing clients, you just pick, let's say, like one of the oncology form and fill it out, and I still encounter that. I think probably because would that be because there's still like a previous error that because of the wrong discriminator is already there, so it keep referencing to that, so it give the user so for example, it give me like a false impression that it also apply to other forms.
I think the moment you try to save a form and it throws that error, it's something. I think it's a Lucene already closed exception or something related. So once you have that kind of error, it would I think is it the form or there's something that gets locked, and
Yeah,
then
it cannot move forward after that.
from there you cannot save any other form even if
Yeah.
it's used correctly.
Yeah, now I think it explained because that's why, like when test other form after that, other form had the same issues. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are testing, then it means you have to factory reset the application so that you configure it again as afresh.
Yeah, it makes sense if it's locked the problem, so that keep preventing user to move forward with other encounter form, and then now it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I wanted to mention, I know that we shall be now we have a new mode that has that would allow a drop down of applicable discriminators. So there would not be a case where users type in the wrong discriminator. But then we have a case where a form is tagged registration, but it's not given the registration discriminator. What would be the best approach to solve this?
So I think I think probably on the tagging part, for those special tag, it should have some kind of validation to cross check.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I see it, like so that since like registration is a special tag, it also has some requirement that it needs to, the discriminator need to be like JSON registration.
So that would be a server-side change.
Yes.
Okay.
So that it will not affect on the mobile side. Yeah. because it's more like a server-side setup problem.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I will file a ticket after.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Simon, for investigating this one and also sharing the findings. So, Ruth, you have a question for Simon regarding Huawei issues?
Yeah, well, that one I said this week I'm going to give it priority. So, in the course of the week, I'm looking at finding a solution for the issues with any Android version 3.0 or below.
Okay.
So the Huawei Y210 actually fall in this class of Android devices that have version 3.0 and below.
Okay. Yeah, Ruth, sorry that, because we have so many other blockers things, so Simon just have limited time, that's why, it could not handle earlier, probably this week or next week, yeah.
Okay.
So, any other, items you guys want to discuss? If not, we can finish a couple of minutes early. Thanks, Lawrence. Yeah, please spend some time today after the call to update the wrapping tickets so that either we can move the status or close some of them before we start the new sprint later tonight.
Okay.
Thanks all. Have a good one.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.